Hello everyone, welcome back to our tutorial. Now I'm back with a new series of pandas tutorial, basically the pandas in Python. So in my last tutorial series, I just created a series for panda and now I thought I created a series for Python and now I thought why don't I bring a new one for pandas. So in this video, I'll just tell you what exactly we are going to cover in panda. It's like I'm not straight away moving to the project thing because if someone is new to panda, so basically that's what they should know what exactly the topics are, what exactly you'll be using in Panda, and where the Panda is used. So the very first thing that we will do in Panda is basically we'll talk about the pandas in Python. I'll let you know what exactly the Panda is and what it's doing. Then we'll talk about data analysis in Python. Like basically the pandas are used for, this is a library that's used for data analyzing. So usually in the projects we analyze data. And at the end of this video, basically I will be doing a project too, where you will see the execution of all these topics that I'm mentioning here. The third one is about data frames in Python. Basically, the data frames in pandas is basically that helps you to frame the data. So we'll see a brief description on this, and we'll see how we can handle the missing data, how we can use DropNa and FillNa, and also we'll see how to use GroupBy, joins, and appends in Panda. Basically, this is used to group the data, or like if you want to join or if you want to add a new data. So we'll be using this. Now, the next thing at last, we'll see what is this pivot table and the melt functions in Panda. Now, these topics, what you see, these are basically the topics that usually covered in pandas. So what exactly I'm planning is first I will talk about these topic. I'll take a random CSV file or like a random Excel file, and I'll help you with the execution of those, like how you can run those, basically how you can function those data in a small CSV or Excel file. Once this is done, then we will move to a project section, which is ready for you. That is, we'll see an analysis report of a sales sample report. So I have a sales sample report, and what exactly we'll be doing with that sample report, how we'll be applying pandas in that is, we'll calculate the monthly sale. That's the basically job of real-time project. So what we are doing is that is a real-time project. So in real-time scenario, you'll be doing all of this, like you'll be calculating monthly sale, you'll calculate highest and lowest sell based on month. Again, you may calculate the highest and lowest sales based on product categories, calculate monthly profit of sales and determine the profit monthly, analyze sales project profit by customer segments, and again at last you will analyze the sales of profit ratio. So basically whatever you're doing in this analysis, these are the basically the reports we'll be generating through pandas. So first you will get an idea of panda, and next you will be doing like you'll apply this on real time. So you'll get an idea where you are using these concepts and how you are using it. One thing that I have not mentioned here is we'll do one more thing here is we'll try to represent these reports on graph basis. So we'll be using a plotty called a library that will help us to plot in graph reference. So we'll be doing that too. So that's one additional thing we'll be adding to this real-time project. So this is the overview what we are going to cover in this tutorial and what exactly you'll be learning. So we'll talk about all of this in this tutorial. So keep watching the videos and go through all the videos in sequence because all videos are connected to one another. That's all in this section. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome back. Now in this video, we are going to talk about pandas in Python. So this is the first thing that you need to know when you are working with Panda. You should know about what exactly the Panda is, what are the features, why is it important, and why we need this Panda. So we should basically get an overview or like get an idea of this Panda, because if you're implementing something, you should have an idea of it. And if you're doing it for the first time, then it's very necessary. So first, let's understand about Panda. What is Panda in Python? So Panda basically it's a powerful and easy to use open source data analysis and manipulation library for Python. So this is a library that basically we use for data analyzing. Basically a large number of data, we analyze that data. We use pandas and also we use for manipulating the library, manipulations of data. Like if we want to add something, or in case we want to remove something from our data. So basically, whatever changes you want to do, Panda will help us to do. So it builds on top of the NumPy and is widely used by handling structures like tables or spreadsheets. So usually when you have the Excel sheets, or I say when you have a CSV file and you have large number of data, it's never easy to go through each and every data straight away. And it's like if for a few number of data, it's very easy. Like if you have hundreds of data, then you can easily analyze through the Excel sheet commands and find out the complete overview of that data. But when you have data in large number, like maybe in more than thousands, or maybe in millions, or like just like in more a large number of datas. Basically, you can talk about the e-commerce project. Like you have large number of e-commerce data. For every products you have data. So in that case, this Panda will help us. So basically, Python has provided an inbuilt library that we can apply, and we can analyze the data and find the results very easily. Now, what are the key features of Panda? Basically, you can see the first thing is data structure. Like if you have one-dimensional level array, like columns in Excel, data frames, two-dimensional data like tables, SQL, or Excel files you have. So basically, you can structurize the data using this Panda. Second thing, read and write data. So you can easily read or write Excel file, CSV file, JSON file, and SQL data. So you can easily read them using these pandas. For example, like how you will be doing. So just you have to write a line of code that is import panda, and you give a name as PD. Like usually we give the name as PD. You can give any name. So basically we import pandas, and then we have a command. If we are reading a CSV file, we have read CSV. If we are reading an Excel file, we have read Excel. So basically we have a certain command, or basically a method that will execute, and that will help us to read the Excel file. So this will help you to read the complete Excel file. So in pandas, basically you can say you can easily read and write data. You can clean and pre-processing of data, like handle the missing data, duplicates, remaining columns. Like when you have a large number of data, obviously you will have a duplicate values, or maybe in some cases the values may be missing, or like maybe a column is named as products, and you want to change the name to some other names, like you want to change the column name. Now just you imagine, if you're working on a random Excel file, or in random any file, if you're working, you go, you manually change things, and then you apply on it. It's better in pandas. What happens, you already get these methods available, so straight away you can go and do these things. All you'll be seeing when you'll be working through, just I'm giving you an features of panda, what exactly it helps you to do. So just you can imagine, like with a real-time Excel file and the one that you are doing with the pandas, how that will be helpful. Now here we have like these type of methods, drop, now, fill. Now these type of methods that will help us to drop the rows which have missing values, replace missing values with some value. Like if usually if in Excel sheet you have a missing value or your empty field, then you'll find it difficult to analyze those data. So it's better if you pass some values to that. So basically you have methods there that will help you to clean up your data and all. Data filtering and sections, basically you can slice the data. When you have large number of data, you can provide your own indexing. You can apply some filtrations. Now, when it comes to data analysis, then you will have a lot of filtrations, you'll have a lot of conditions to do. So basically pandas help you to do this too, and you can apply to every columns of your Excel files. Now, data integration and grouping, like easily perform group-wise operations using GroupBy. Basically, there is a method that's GroupBy where you can group multiple columns, and then based on that, you can generate the reports of those columns. So a lot of things you can do, and basically you can do with the different columns, different data sections easily. Merging and joining, combine multiple data sets using merge, join, or concat, where you can combine, basically you can combine data and just make a single data. Data visualization supports quick plotting with the MATLAB integrations. Basically, here you can plot the data like plot the data in form of like you can generate a graphical representation of your data. Whichever data you have, you can provide a graphical representation like graphic based. Basically, it's difficult to analyze the complete data on the Excel sheet. So it's like you can bring those data, you can just minimize those data and represents on the graph too. That also you'll be seeing in your upcoming videos. Now, what's the importance of pandas in Python? So the most important thing is handles data easily. So you can easily store, organize, and work with data like you worked in the Excel sheets. So basically you can reuse data, or you can handle the data easily, like raw data you can clean up and usable if you lines of code. So basically data handling becomes easy when pandas comes into use. Fast and powerful. Obviously, when you have billions of data, then execution of panda is that fast. Like you'll find it very easy that you have analyzed a million of data in just few seconds of time. So that's what Panda brings. Like you can easily manipulate or easily you can execute a large number of datas. Supports real-time formats, like data can be in different format. It can be in CSV file, it can be in Excel, it can be in JSON, SQL database. So it's like a lot of different ways you can have datas. And what this Panda basically help you to do is it helps you to read all type of data, basically all type of data. You can read it easily through Panda. Great for data cleaning, like as already I said, it can remove the missing data, incorrect entries, it can resave data format in whichever format you can do. So basically Pandas provide you that too. Make data analysis simple, like few commands can filter, group, sort, merge, and analyze data. So you have some inbuilt commands here, so you can easily analyze your data. So basically, the main focus of this pandas is this helps you in analyzing data. Like you have seen in, you have already seen before, like a lot when you have a lot of data, you find it very difficult to how to structurize it, analyze it. So basically, pandas make that job easier. So built-in visualization, like work well with libraries like MATLAB and Seaborn to turn data into graphs and chart for better understanding. Now, if you have a data in the Excel file and if you go through each and every data one by one, or if you have changed in different structures too, but the best representation is in graph format. In graph, it's easy to understand and in fact easy to visualize, like what exactly is happening. It's used in very data projects, in almost every data projects where you are doing data analysis, machine learning, or business relating. Panda is good tools for handling structure data. So basically, you can say Panda is used for mostly data analysis, machine learning, in most part where a lot of data are involved. It helps in every project's like. So that's why it's very important too. Like it's very important to know about Panda, because in your real time, you will usually come through this. Beginner friendly, very intuitive syntax. You don't need to be expert to get started. Obviously, like you have some built-in methods, and if you know the methods, if you apply the method straight away, you'll find it very easy. It's not that difficult. Anyone can easily do it. That's what Panda is. Then why to use Panda? Then it's like speed up data cleaning and analyze data tasks. Like just I said, you have million of data and you want to do it in few seconds or minutes or times, you can easily do through Pandas. So Panda provides you that. Make work with large data sets intuitive and effective. Efficient, in fact, I can say. So basically, when you have large set of data, Panda make it very easy for you. You can easily work on those data. You can work on different columns. You can create your own columns, like visualization, everything. Like it becomes easy with Panda. That's why I said Panda is very important, essential for data science, machine learning, and automation projects. So it's like mostly in all of the projects, the Panda is used. So I guess you got an overview of Panda, what exactly you're going to use Panda for, what Panda will bring for you, what exactly you can do to Panda using Pandas. I guess you have got an overview of this. Now we'll talk more about the different functions or different options available in Pandas in my upcoming sections. Just stay tuned and keep watching the videos. Till then, bye-bye and thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Now, in this section, we'll talk about data analysis in Panda. So in my last video, I was talking about data analysis. We came across this word many times. Now let's exactly understand what exactly the data analysis means. Data analysis is the process of collecting, organizing, cleaning, and interpreting data to discover useful insight patterns and trends that supports decision making. So basically, what we do is we collect the data, we clean it, we just do the changes whatever required, and what we try to discover out of it is a particular pattern. Like if we have large number of data, so that data is working in which pattern, like which pattern it's following, and how useful that data is, how supportive it is. That's basically what it means, data analysis. Like I'm analyzing a data, that through that data I'll get some analysis of my regular flow of data, how it's trending, how it flows down, when it goes up, just like we get a complete overview of the performance, you can say. So think of data analysis like solving a mystery. You start with bunch of uh, clues, and you clean up and organize those clues. Then try to find the story behind hidden within the numbers. Now, just like when you have bunch of clues. Like you can understand, you have a lot of clues. Like okay, this data just for like someday the cost of a particular product is 10, 10 rupees. And next day again, maybe it's like the cost switch from 10 to $20. It's like just keep changing from $10, it changed to $20. So basically, there is chances of changing the data at regular basis. Now you need to know that how frequently it's changing. So for that, you have to organize all data at one place. And then you have to understand the story that at which point it just goes down, at which point the trend gets up, and basically what exactly the process of this data flow is, or how the data are changing. So basically, doing all these activities are called as data analysis. So in simple words, you can say data analysis help us to censor raw information, turns into something meaningful and useful. So if I give you some around 1,000 of informations, 1,000 of data of a store, and I tell you that, okay, give me what exactly, uh, what information you are getting from this all 1,000 datas. So it's very difficult to track down that, okay, this is the information I'm getting, or this is how the data is flowing. But by doing data analysis, or like just by following certain patterns, we're just properly maintaining the data in a proper sequence, we can analyze that, okay, this 1,000 datas are basically working in this way. So that what basically it makes sense out of those data which are of no use, or you can say which data looks like a raw data. It's like it's our no information. You can make some sense out of it. That's called data analysis. Now, how is Panda used in data analysis? So Panda is one of the most popular Python libraries for data analysis. It allows you to work with structurized data easily using powerful tools. Now, what's that tool? The key features of Pandas, like here, read CSV, Excel files, basically clean data, filter and sort data, group and summarize information, and visualize data with graph. So this is how Panda helps to analyze the data, and that's how helps to use it. Now, in real-time scenarios where basically data analysis is performed. So I've just picked some real-time scenarios. These are some scenarios, basically these are certain projects that you'll come across. And what exactly we do here is just imagine about a retail store sales report. So a sales report of a store keeps changing every day. Some day you have more sales, some days you have less sale, some month you have profit, some months you have loss. So it's like it keeps changing. So what basically raw scales is stored in a CSV file. With Pandas, you can quickly find out the stores and make the most sales. Analyze sales trends by month, spot stores with declining performance. So that means if in a city you have multiple stores and you want to just figure it out that which store is doing good profit, which store is not working properly, which store is not giving us the outcome, like these type of stories, you can get out, you can pick, or you can create these type of stories, or can say you can create these type of data from a raw data. So basically, this is one of the scenario where these pandas and these pythons will be used. Like they're basically where the pandas is most helpful. Now, student exam results. Like this is another scenario. Here, a school collects data from the students' marks across the subjects. You can use Panda to find the toppers in subject, calculate class average, identify students who need extra supports. So basically, when you see a marks or a result is declared, you get an idea that okay, this many percent of student got this much of marks, this percent of students were the toppers, this was the average score. So these, like, if you calculate about a student and if you figure it out, there are maybe the students can be in lakh in numbers. So it's like you can analyze those data, you can just pick those data and collect some informations like this, like these type of informatic informations you can bring from those data. In e-commerce order, usually when you order from any stores like Amazon or any other places like eBay, so there you have like you can track how much product sold, find the peak order time, detect refund trends and issues, because these all informations when you basically when you book an order, you pass the informations like what time at what time you are doing the orders, which one you have refund, which one you have kept it, or which one is sold most, like these type of data. Now you just think if you are doing an online shopping, you'll have millions of data. Now from that, how will you figure it out that which product is doing better, what is the trending time, these type of informations, how will you find out? So it's very difficult to find just by going through data one by one. So here pandas comes into role, and pandas basically help us to track these type of informations. So these are the different scenarios, and I hope based on these scenarios, you have got an idea that where exactly the Panda is helping and what exactly it's helping us to track down. What exactly we are getting from these scenarios or from these type of cells, what exactly we are picking for pandas. So this is the story, small story, just telling that where pandas can be applied, and usually you will have projects somewhere related to this. So basically, all these places, pandas will play important role. Now we'll work in one of the basically we'll be working on e-commerce project later. Right now, I'm just giving you overview. If you are new to this thing, just I'm making you familiar to these things, like where exactly we are using it, where exactly the panda is required, why data analysis is required, what exactly data analysis is doing. So this is basically the record of what exactly we are doing. These are some of the points that I brought up that we'll be doing in real-time scenarios. So I hope the concept of Panda is clear, why we are using it and where we are applying it. What type of scenarios, what type of informations we are tracking, what type of informations are required. I hope this concept will be clear through these examples. Good. Now in the next section, we'll talk about the Pandas different functions, and we'll see how it's operating. That's all in this section. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. In this video, we'll talk about data frames in Python. Now, in last few videos, we talked about the pandas. We talked about data analysis. Now, we'll talk about data frame. That's the very first thing that you will use to any of your data. So first, let's go through the definition of data frame. Then let's talk about different methods, and then we will try an example. So this is going to be a bit long video, but still go through each and every part. We will try the examples because it had been too much of theory. So now we'll do some practical parts, basically, like we will try some example and we will go from the scratch from the beginning till the end. So the very first thing, what is data frame in pandas? So data frame is one of the most important and widely used data structure in pandas. You can think of data frame as a table or spreadsheet with rows and columns that can hold all type of data, number, text, dates, or even mixed type. So in simple way, a data frame is like an Excel sheet you can control with Python code. So just like we have an Excel sheet, this is how the Excel sheet basically looks like. Like we have name, age, cities, we have different columns here and values inside it. Data frame basically looks like this. So the sheet, basically the way you define in Excel sheet, that details, if you want to display using Python or using this pandas, or we want to work with these datas that you have defined in the Excel sheet, we use data frame. So data frame basically help us to present those datas in our working. So you can create it manually, or you can create it manually, or you can load it. Okay. So creating a data frame, basically this is how you can create a data. Just you can put it inside a list, all the datas, and usually we use a method that's called data frame, and in that we pass a data. Now, here are some commonly used data frame operations. You need to know about this because we use it regularly. And in fact, we'll be using it in our code as well. So right now, just I'm giving you an overview. So later you can just get an idea that how it's working. So first one, it's like view the first or last row. So df.head basically gives you the value of only the first row. And why we need the value of the first 5 rows? From there, you will get an idea of the columns, that which columns are there basically. And df.tell gives you the value of last 5 rows. Now, when we come to df.info, so it's basically giving the info of column types and memory uses. df.describe, this is basically give a summary of all the columns, like summary in sense of like it will tell which is the maximum value, which is the lower minimum value. It will give the mean. Basically, the mean means the average of the values. Again, it will give the values in form of percentage. So description means it gives you a complete description of that. Now, this part is important because when you'll be writing real-time codes, you need to know how to access any column or row. So if you're trying to access any particular column, you have to give the name like df. I'm using the name df because here already I have defined this df is equals to pd dot data frame. So df is just a name that I have defined here. So df, and in the brackets, you have to pass the column name. So when you pass the column name, it understands that I'm talking about that specific column. Now, when you pass multiple column names, that means I'm talking about that multiple columns. So if you want to get a particular column and to get the values from that column, so you have to first mark that column that this is the column, and from this column, you'll be taking the values. So to get or to refer to any column, we first give the data type name. In the square bracket, we pass the column name. Great. df.i.location. This gives the first row by index. And df.look, this gives a row with label index 0. So we will use all of this so you'll get an idea. Like when I'll be using, obviously I'll tell you about this. Right now I'm just giving an overview. Now for filtering data, it's like here I'm taking any particular column. From that column, I'm just using the conditions, like if it's greater than 25, so it will give me all the values that's greater than 25. So all the ages greater than 25. Adding new columns. Now, just like you have a particular table, and to that table, you want to add a new column with certain values. So straight away you do df, name the column, which column you want to create, and pass the values accordingly. Updating values, like here, this is how we update values, df.log. Now in this log, basically that's the location. In that location as 0 index, I want to put an age value as 26. So John age, basically the one whose value, the one of the person who's John at the 0th index, his age is 26. So that value is updated. Dropping columns or row, df.drop. In that you have to mention which column, which particular column you want to drop, and again access, and in place is equals to true. Basically this makes to happen a drop. Now if you want to drop based on index, then pass the index number. So that particular row will remove. And if you drop, basically pass the column name, so that particular column will remove. That's how we do. Sorting, again, we have sort values. We can sort the values in descending and ascending orders. So like if you are not mentioning in which order, then by default it's descending. If you mention ascending, so that will be done in that way. Reset or set index, this you'll be seeing when I'll be doing this in the current example. Save and load data. Now this one, basically here, df.to, basically here when we are trying to load any CSV file, and if we want to read any CSV file, right, we write pd.read CSV file or pd.read_excel, so read the Excel file. So basically these are the methods that you will come across to run the data frames. Now these are some methods that I have mentioned here. Few methods I have not mentioned, but we'll be using that too. So now once you are done with this, you have got an idea of data frame, what it does. Basically, it brings that Excel sheet or any CSV file. It creates in a form of data that is like in this form, basically. This is how it looks usually in an Excel form. So data frame, basically what it does, it's like basically used to structurize the data, that's all. Now, when you are using data frame, for that, I have created an Excel sheet from beforehand. Like here, I have passed. Now, right now, I'm doing manually because just I'm taking my own data, or just I'm taking random data. I've created 3 columns: date, temperature, wind speed. I'm doing this because I want you to get familiar with these methods, these operations which you have got through. So we'll be using it. So when you have a less data, you will get a better idea. Now, it's not that we will only be trying this. After this, we'll go to a bigger picture where we'll be trying a project. So there again, we'll be applying this. But from here, at least you'll get an idea of what happening, how we are doing, and how we are creating. So I have an Excel sheet. This one I have basically I have downloaded it in form of CSV. So you can say I have a CSV file. And this CSV file I'll be using in Jupyter Notebook. Now the question is, why the Jupyter Notebook? Why not in PyCharm? So you can write in PyCharm, but while I'm explaining, I'm using Jupyter because here it becomes easy. You can see the output at the same time, and I can keep adding the steps. So to get to Jupyter, you have to do nothing. Go to Google Chrome, just write Jupyter Notebook, open this, take the very first option, and just try. Sorry, just you can say this one, Jupyter Lab. So you want this. So once you want this, here Jupyter Lab will open, laboratory is opening. And here, basically, you have, when you click this plus button, you will have different options. I will take this one, Python notebook one. The very first option I'll take. So when I take this, it opens here. So I have the same thing here as well. So I'll be using it from here. I've already kept open. So this is the way how you can go to Jupyter Notebook and just try that. Now in this one, I'm going to add my CSV file. So I have my CSV file already ready, which I have created right now. So I'll copy that and paste it here straight away. Like I'll do Control V, or I can do plus. Sorry, I click this upload button. I click this, oh no, sorry, click this upload button from here. Take the file which you want to upload. Basically, I want a CSV file, so I'll take a CSV one and I will add on here. So once you add, you'll find a CSV file added. Like in my case, you see report, weather report sheet one. This is the CSV file, or basically the Excel file, which I told you just now, which we see. This is the Excel file. And now we'll be playing with this data. So we have different columns. We have only 3 columns. I've created only 3 columns: days, temperature, wind speed. Now, because I'm opening here, so it by default the index is, but this is not the right index. I'll tell you what is the right index. One small thing what I'm going to change here is the name of this. So I'll rename it as only weather. That will be easy. So let me do right click, let me do name and name it to weather. That's fine. So I have a CSV file in my project that will be working on it. And I guess everything is there. Now let's start doing code. So the very first thing what you will write is here. Now this is the tab here. So the very first thing you will write is import pandas as PD. So when you write import pandas as PD, so the very first thing is the pandas library will import. Now what you are going to do is you are going to read a CSV file. So to read a CSV file, what you are going to write? You are going to write PD, or I'll create a variable where I'll store it. I'll say df is equals to PD dot, I'm reading a CSV file. So I'll take the method as CSV, and in this, I'll pass the CSV file that I want to read here. So when I do pd.read, I get this. So basically this is to pd.read CSV file is to read a CSV file. Now when I do df and to run this block, now you see this is one box. To run this, press shift enter. Only press shift enter from your computer and this will read your tab basically, like it's read this one. Or the other way you can do is just look and click this run button here. And this will also read that particular block. So this box has read it. Now let's wait for the output. It will take some time here. So because I have written df, so it's going to print me the CSV file. I guess the file is okay. Yeah, this is the file. So it will print me out this. So let's wait for this. It's taking some time to run. Now it's there. So the sheet or the Excel sheet that was in CSV form, the complete data is here. And I said the indexes will change because the indexes starts from 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, go on. So that's how we read the CSV file. Now you'd be saying that I have not used any data frame methods here and I'm applying. So data frame is used in that case, basically when we are creating our own CSV file. Our own CSV file, what I mean by that is, like for example, For example, I have a bunch of data that have been created beforehand. So like here you see I have this data. Now this is one data that I've created a list of it. This is the list data. Now if I want to pass this data manually and then create it in form of table, then we will use CSV file. For example, just for example, I'm doing this. I mention D is equals to PD dot data frame. First, I define it here, a variable as weather. Sorry. I'll paste the data here. This is the data. Now I want this data to read. So I'll store in D. Now PD dot data frame. Now this data is basically in form of list. Now I want to convert it into data frame. I want to convert it into the Excel file. So here I'll pass and I'll do D. And again, I do shift enter. Remember, shift enter is used to run the file. So basically it's saying data frame constructor not properly called. Okay, sorry. Data frame is not properly called. What's the spelling? Is it right? Or there is some change in the spelling? Okay, let me do it again. Okay, I've not written the import lines here, I guess. Let me do it again. Now, a small mistake what I did here is I put this inside double quotes. Like you see this weather, I'm putting it inside double quotes. Now here, if you put straight away, you pass this weather a variable. Now you see this particular data was in form of dictionary basically. Dictionary, it's like here, this is a key value and this is the value. Again, this is the key, temperature is a key and these are the values, wind is a key and these are the values. Now using data frame, this dictionary, the values that stored in form of dictionary in keys and values, those are converted into form of table. This is converted in form of table like date, temperature, wind speed. These three are three different columns and these are the values inside it. Okay. So data frame is basically used in this case where we are trying to frame the data. That's why we are using data frame. So now I've given a different name for this variable because I'm going to use this one right now. The CSV file. I just did this to get you give you an idea of data frame, or you'd be thinking I talked about the data frame and what its uses is. So the data that's not in structurized, if you see, you can't figure it out what exactly here it is and what value is, like how you will be using it. So first you have to frame data using data frame, frame in form of CSV or Excel file sheet. You can say proper columns and the indexes. So this, like when you're assigning the values this way, so using data frame, you have to frame it in form of an Excel sheet. Now let's get back to this one. So here you see we have some around 9 datas, and basically here I would like to again print that DF so it will be easy. So these are the values. We have 3 columns: date, temperature, wind speed. These 3 columns we have. Now we are going to apply our methods that we have been using. So the very first one is df.shape. What's this for? This is basically used to tell you that how many rows and how many columns are there. So remember, this tells us the number of rows and column. So if you want to know the number of rows and column, use df.shape. So it says 10 rows because it's starting from 0th index and 3 columns. So the first thing, df.shape. Now the next one, df.head. So df.head, as I said, this is used to give you the first 5 data. So out of this 10 data, it's giving me the very first 5 one. Now again, df.tail. This gives us the last 5 data. This is my last 5 data. So it gives us the last 5 data. So shape gives you the number of rows and column, head, first 5 data, tail, the last 5 data. Now, if I want to slice this data, like right now I have very less data, so that's why I'm doing this. It's like somewhere a requirement comes that I want the date list of data between the date this and this, or maybe like between the column 20 and 40. Like for this, if I set the date that between column 3 and 5, I want all the data between these columns. So you see, it's giving me column values at column number 3, sorry, row number 3 and row number 4. So it's like if you want to get the row values of based on the row numbers, you can get that specific row values. So 3 and 5, so 3 and 4 is these two rows basically. So if you want to get the rows value, basically this is called as slicing. So if you want to slice based on the rows, you can do that too. I hope it's good till here. Now, if you want to straight away get the list, the name of all the columns. So just write df.columns. So it gives you all the columns you have. And also it tells you that it's in form of object. So we'll check the types as well. And if you are familiar with Python, you know that just by using type method, you can get the type of that particular data. So to get the columns, you will get df, you need to pass df.columns and you will get the columns. Now, if you want a specific column, so just pass that particular column name. So, sorry, what happened here? Error key day. Okay, wait here. Sorry. What wrong I did here? df. Okay. Just now here, when I'm applying df and I'm passing a column name as day, so it's giving me some error. Now, why is it so? So if you go back here and you see this, you have straight away read here, we are straight away reading a CSV file. Now, for example, like I said, these are the methods inside DataFrame. So if we want to apply this, so we have to do a small change here. It's like either you can say pd.read CSV, fine. And next one, write df is equals to, you need to give a name here as well. So I give d is equals to de dot data. Sorry, it will be pd dot data frame, and inside that I have to pass this d, just like we did for the manual one. If you remember, the when we pass the value manually, then we did the same way. We did data frame and we passed the particular variable name. Now when you do this, now it's converted into data frame. Before this, we were assuming it as just a CSV file that we have assigned a variable and we are reading it. Now in this case, now again, if you say df and give day, one of the column, then basically here again, what's wrong here? Is it df dot column? I guess we don't need to pass this single quotes. Now here you see, if we are doing df dot day, it's giving me error. But if I want to print the second column, that is df dot temperature. And in this case, you see, it gives me the temperature column values. Same with if I'm doing with df column wind speed. And I do this way, it's giving me the wind speed column. Now, if it gives me temperature, it gives me wind speed, then what's the problem with this day? If I'm using the same thing the same way, it's giving me a key error. Now I'll tell you the reason behind this. The small reason behind this is, now I'll tell you df.info. So I'll use a method called df.info. Now, when I give this df.info, basically it gives you the info of your columns. So what's the info here is, basically this is a date column. And sorry, here, wait. Now here in this info, just add this method and just do this. Now, when you do df.info, it gives me the info of the columns, like the column, what type of column it is, what's the data type basically. So if we talk about day, the data type is object. So that's why we are not getting the data straight away. We again, if we talk about temperature, it's an integer value. So straight away I get it. Wind is an integer value. So straight away I get it. But when it comes to day, if we don't get the object of this, basically you can say if you're talking about day, so in case of day, it's like the object is here, the object of this date is basically the data type of this date is day is object. So here we can either convert the data type or we can convert it to the date spam. So obviously if you are using date, so you'd like to convert it into the date spam. That's how you'd like to work with. So if you want to convert it, so for converting, we have to write a line of code that will convert this information or the date column that is in form of object that will be converted into to date. Basically, that will be converted into to the data type that is date spam. So here we have a method that is called basically we'll be using to convert it. So let's convert this. So let's write code to convert the date. So here we will be writing whichever it's defined inside df, and what's the name of column? The name of the column is day, and that column you are trying to convert it into pd dot to date time. And again, you need to mention which one, df plus day. So this one you can convert it into, we are trying to convert it into date time. So basically here when we are trying to convert it, it says, okay, days again, which is the object a day. So we have to convert it into daytime. We are doing that. Now here I'm getting this error. Now you see few errors. I'm doing it intentionally so that you can get an idea that what mistakes you should not do and what mistakes you should keep in mind when you are dealing with the data, or basically when you are dealing with a bunch of data. So what basically mistakes you should not do here. Now if you talk about this one, so basically we are doing a small mistake here is that is the date format is in form of slashes. And when you are reading a pandas, these slashes is not the right format to enter the dates. So what's the right format? Now you see, just for example, if I take this value, the one that I have passed manually, okay, it's a similar value, no more changes here. And this is how my now, but the format which I have kept here is dash. I have not used slash sign. And if I say data dot info, so as usual, this is an object. Now the same one here when I say data and I mention day colon is equals to pd dot to date time. This is my method. to underscore date time. You have to keep in mind that this will be your method. To date time. And here, now again, here you need to pass data dot like day and done. In fact, close. Now, when you do this will basically here, okay, it says warning. This should be the format like day, month, and year. This should be the format in which you have to set the datas. So basically the datas are set in this format. Now here it says specify date. So now I have to mention the PDF dot to date time. That's the method. And here it will convert. So basically what's trying to say is the format matters. So whichever format you are putting the value, that format matters if you want to convert it into date span. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind when you are working with the date format. Basically, when you are working with the date format, you have to keep this in mind that it should be in proper format. That's one thing you have to keep in mind. So by doing this, you get convert into date format. Now this is like basically I'm getting an error because it's already converted into date format, this data. But when you write this line pd dot to date data, so this will convert into the date format. Now here with now later it was d type object. Now this is converted into date time. So if you use a proper format, you can easily convert it into date time. Now what more we can do is, again, the next thing what we can do here is, now just I'm applying on this data itself. So this is my list of data 40, 42, 35, 38, 40, 41, 42. So it's like, let's apply on this. The CSV file we'll see in the real-time project. Right now, it's easy that this is converted into data frame. So let's continue with this part. So here, when I do data dot temperature, like if I want a value from that section, that is called temperature. So obviously it will give me the value of temperature. Now, if I want the maximum value, so I'll write max. So it gives me the maximum value as 42. So out of this, the maximum value is 42. Similarly, I can get the same way I can get minimum value of a particular section just by writing minimum, and you'll get the minimum value. Now, similarly, if I do the next method as mean, so this will give me average of that particular temperature. This is the average, 39 point something. This is the average. These are certain things. Now, you can write also the conditional statements. Conditional statements like, you see, conditional statements will be like, again, I say data. And in data, I'm going with the temperature format. And here, I'll try to compare the temperature. I'll just check the temperature. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check the temperature. That means I want to print the temperatures that's greater than maybe 36. So I say data dot temperature. Now you see inside data, data is basically the one where all my values are stored. PD dot data for data frame. Data frame is converted into this data. So in this data, I'm looking for the column temperature. And what's my condition here? It should be greater than or is equals to 35. So basically, I'm looking for those datas. Those has datas basically greater than or is equals to 35. Sorry, here, two brackets are like here. I put the bracket here. This would be at the end. So it's giving me the temperature between greater than 35 or is equals to 35. So here basically, do I have a data less than 35? Oh, it's all same. So let me change it this greater than, change it to greater than or less than is equals to 40. Now you see, it gives me only these columns, these rows where the data is greater than 40 or is equals to 40. So this is how you can apply conditions to your data frame. This is one way. Now, the next thing, it's like how you can set the temperature. Like if you talk about comparing the values in that form. like I'm comparing a particular value in this temperature section. So what I'm going to do is, so I'll take two columns from here. Now, when I'm first, this time I printed just one column, that is temperature. Now I want, like here I'm printing the complete thing, but basically I'm taking the values which are greater than 14. Now I want to take two columns only. One is day, that's one column, comma, I want the another column as temperature. Great, two columns. Now, let me close it here itself. After this, I'll open a new bracket and say data dot temperature is equals to, that's used to basically compare the value. And I'll say data column, and from data column, what I'm going to take is temperature. So I'll mention temperature, and the temperature should be dot, I'm putting the method as max. So that's what we are doing. We are taking, now here what I'm doing, I'm taking two columns, day and temperature. And what I'm going to do here is I'm trying to compare the temperature that should be maximum basically. So you see out of these columns, day, temperature, and windows, I get only two columns. One is day, other one is temperature. And I get only those values which are maximum. So 42 is the maximum value. So I'm writing a condition where I'm comparing the temperatures with the maximum value. Got it? So this is how you can write the conditions. So you have seen the conditions writing, like we're using greater than singly, we get when we put a single condition. Here when we put a specific condition, and also like in this case, you see I've just done data, and inside the data I've written the condition. So accordingly it prints me all the columns. But when I mention data and only temperature, so it's giving me only two columns, that is one is data, another one is temperature based on the condition. I hope this is clear. Too many things coming up, so I understand it's like hard to digest, but if you do along with me, you'll find it easy. Just like few errors I have done intentionally, just to prove some point that, okay, at this point, this is the reason why we are getting this error. If you come across something like that, in future, you can be at least known that, okay, this error means what. Now, once this is done, then we can do one more thing. We can set the index. Now, how you can set the index? I'll say data dot set underscore index. And here I'll talk about a day. Now the day one, I'm trying to set it as index. Okay. Now here also I'm thinking to do an error, but again, you'll feel like, okay, I'm doing too much of errors, but still I will do it. That's my way of like just do mistakes and then make you aware of that why this mistake came up. So what I'm trying to do is, now right now my indexes are in this way, 0, 1, 4, 5, 6. It's giving a proper index. Now I want to change this index. I don't want it like it should be 0, 1, 2. I want to make the day column as the index. So I say data dot set index, and here you see the index is set. Okay. So now my indexing that was 0, 1, 2 changes to the values that is in day form. So now my index is in this form. So if I want to get a particular column value, so how will I get? So I'll write data dot LOC. This is for the location, and for a specific value. What is the specific value? I want the value at 20, 25, 05 slash 18. So what's happened here? I guess I have to change the format. 25 slash, or I have to write the other way. 18 slash 05 dash 2025. Will this work? What's wrong with this? Okay. Now I said I'll get an error intentionally. Why is that is I have set the index here. So I got this updated. But to change the current data set. Now, right now, if I print here, if I print data, so you see still my indexes is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means I have changed this index today, but still this index change is not implemented to my existing data. That's why I'm getting this error when I'm looking for this location because there is no index with this value. So why is this so? So when you set the index, if you want to change it to the real-time data, the data that you have, so you have to write a line here in place is equals to true. Now, when you again look for this data, you go to this column and enter. Now you see this data, the indexes has changed. So this time try data. That's what I said. I make errors so that you don't do errors when you're working in the real times. So at least you know that, okay, I have to not do this specific errors. And when you do some mistake, you get realized that what wrong you're doing, where you're just going it, where basically you're not following the syntax and all. So you'll be quite aware of, I hope you'll not do this mistake in real time. So now when I have done insane is equals to true, so my current data, the column that was 0 is now updated to a day column. So now you see this in this particular column and the indexing becomes my date. Now when I look for this, so you see it gives me the value inside this 25, 5, 18. Got it? Now you'll be saying that who is going to put the indexes in form of days? Why don't we get back to our old index, the one that we had before? So it's like that's proper indexing format. But this one I've done just for your understanding that you understand that, okay, you have one of these options too. So to get back to the old format, just you have to do data dot reset underscore index. And this time I'll not do any errors. I'll straight away write in place is equals to true. So remember, if you want to put an index, you need to pass the index name or the column name. That index will be created, and don't forget to write in place is equals to true, or this will not update the current or existing data. It will just show for the temporary, but for the if you want to update it to the existing data, then you have to remember you have to use insane is place is equals to true only when you want to update the existing data. If you don't want to update the existing data, no need to do this. No need to change the indexes. This is just an option. I'm telling you that, okay, this is also one way where you can change the index. And this, when you apply in place is equals to true, the current data changes. Remember that. That's very important. Now, when I say data dot reset in place is equals to true, and then again, I try to print data, you see now my indexes are back to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's my old indexing. See, these are the small things that we are coming through. But in real-time projects, if you're aware of these small things, you can easily implement it there. So that's why I'm covering these small topics. I'm doing the mistakes, I'm doing errors. Again, I'm solving it. Again, I'm making you to read that. So that's the reason behind this. So you can go to all these forms, or basically you can, these are the methods that you can implement. See, when you're practicing, at least practice manually where you have passed the value, like I have passed the value and then I have converted into data frame and then I have applied the methods here. Straight away working on CSV, that basically in the next section also I'll talk about that, where I will see how you are working with the CSV. This is like we have created our own data frame, so it looks good. You can go with this. So I hope it's good enough. We have gone through a lot of things in this section. In next section, we'll talk about more topics. We'll see how we can read a different files too. So see you in the next section. Till then, bye-bye. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Now in this section, we'll see how to handle the missing data using DropNa and FillNa. So DropNa is basically where we are trying to drop the data where that's empty data, and FillNa is basically used to if you want to fill some value to that empty data. Now we don't have much theory in this section, so straight away I'll move to the practical part. So the first thing here which you need to know is like this is one of the e-commerce data, and here you see few fields are left empty. Like if you see this one, if you see this row, if you see this column, these all are left empty. So you may have, or basically you can say in a project, you will come across a data where these fields will be, some fields will be left empty. Now in this case, what do you have to do? Either you have to fill some data to this or remove these fields from here because it's not required. If no value, then remove it. These are the certain options that we have to apply. Now, how this drop NA and NA will help you to do this. We'll see that. So the very first thing, as usual, we'll write the import line saying import pandas as PD. Great. Now the next thing is I'll do data is equals to PD dot read underscore CSV, and now I've added this e-commerce dot CSV. You can also add this CSV file. Cool. And then at last I will do print data. Now when I run this, so basically you see the complete data is here. The complete data means like here you see you have row ID, column order ID, everything. And the places where it was empty, like in row number 2, this was an empty place. This became NaN. These NaN. So the places where it was empty, like this row was completely empty. So it became NaN. Now, see, if I do any changes in this current data, then obviously that changes will be modified and again will not be able to work again and again on the same data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the methods here. I'll show you the uses of those methods. You can make a note of it that, okay, this method is used for this and that. You'll see the output here itself and you'll get the, accordingly, you'll get the expected output. So you can analyze accordingly. So I'll be doing changes in the same Excel file every time. So I'll write here data dot drop NA. This is the method. Now what this method data dot drop NA is doing. So when you run this, you see now just read this sheet closely. Like this column number 2 has a value as NaN. Now if you see from this data, column number 2 is removed. Again, you column number 5 has a value as NaN. You see column number 5 is also removed. Column number 6 has NaN. So you see here, column number 6 is also removed, as well as 11. The column number 11, sorry, row number 11, this has also a value NaN. This is also removed. So when you straight away apply drop NA to a particular CSV file or to a particular data set, then in that case, all the NaN values will remove. That means the complete row will remove. Now that's not a good thing. Like if just for one particular value or just for one empty field, you remove the complete row, that's not a good act. So we'll try to simplify this. Like what are the different options? We'll explore that. Now to the current code itself, like this is for when we do drop NA. Now, again, if I do separately, if I write the methods, then again, there is chances that I have to, like this complete data set is modified. So I'm going to apply on the current data set itself. Now the next thing is I will use access. So there is access, like I have given access is equals to 1. Now when you give access is equals to 1, what happens? So if you see here, when I give access is equals to 1, I have only one column, that is row ID. The rest columns are removed. Why it is removed? So remember, in pandas, when it comes to access, so access 1 means column, I'm talking about column. Access 0 means about that I'm talking about row. Now here, what it does, it goes through the complete columns. It comes to order ID and finds one of NaN. So it removes the complete column. It comes to order data. it's a look for NaN. It has a NaN in this column. It removes that column. It comes to SIP data. That means in every column, at least you have one NaN value. So in every column, you're having one at least NaN value. So basically, it removes the complete column from here. So that means when you're applying access is equals to 1, so it removes the complete column that contains NaN value. Now, same thing if it's changed to access is equals to 0. So in this case, it will remove the complete row. It will remove the complete row that has NaN value. This thing is helpful only in case if you have a complete row or a complete column with NaN value. It's good in that case. Now, what basically I'm doing here is you can see the other way if you see the story here is I'm trying to clean up data. Cleanup is like the empty fields if you have in a data set that's of no use. And if you apply analysis on that, then obviously that empty data will create problems. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to clean up, I'm trying to make it more productive and more responsive data set. So here, that's what I'm doing. So when its access is equals to 1, complete column will be removed if you have at least one NaN value, that's empty value. And in this case, the rows will be removed. So I hope this two is also clear. Now let's move to the next one. Here, I'm going to write how is equals to any. New thing, drop how is equals to any. Let's see what this is doing. When I say how is equals to any, then I see second column, again, the second row has NaN value, that's removed. Again, when you see, when it comes down, you have NaN value in fifth row, that's removed. Again, you have NaN value in sixth row, that's removed. So basically, when you use this how is equals to any, then in that case, it removes all the columns with NaN value. The columns that has NaN value, it removes all those columns from there. Now that's when we use how is equals to NaN. Now, just I will change this from how NaN to AN. And then run this code. Now you see the changes. Here, it's I guess how is equals to, yeah, it should remove the complete row. Is it not doing? Drop NA, how is equals to all, a particular row will be removed from here. Drop is equals to how, let me write this again. Have I created a new one? No, it's an old one itself. And here I'll write, sorry, how is equals to all. So here this will remove a particular row, I guess. Now, usually when we use this how is equals to all, only the difference between how is equals to any and how is equals to all, the only difference between that is that in case of any, when I write any, then in that case, it removes all the columns or basically it removes all the rows where you have NaN. But the difference between any and all is that when I do all, then in this case, it will remove only that column, which is complete, that row basically, it will remove that row, which is completely empty. Now, in my case, line number 12 seems to be NA, and this 12th row seems to be NA, but the index here is defined, the row ID is defined as 12. So if this would also be NaN, then in that case, the complete row would remove. But because this row contains one value, so NaN is there. So if you are creating an Excel data sheet or if you're creating a CSV file, then what you do, you make this field also empty. So you'll be seeing that only this particular row will remove from here. So in case of any, it removes all the NaN value. In this case, it removes only the particular row where all the particular column is empty. So if you have a particular row is empty, sorry, a particular row is empty. So if you come across any row where you have the complete row empty, then in that case, when you use um, how is equals to all, it will remove that complete row from there. That's the use of this. Now again, now see, I'm doing the changes in the same data. I'm not creating a new one every time because I want to use it. I want to do more up changes here. Now I've done again data dot drop NA. So now again, you see this NA columns are basically NA rows are removed from here completely. Now what after this? After this, I want to do some changes, like changes in form of, like I want to remove. So I say subset. So I'll use subset here. And in subset, what we are doing in subset, I'm saying that just do subset and pass this column here. Fine. What happens? So when I'm doing subset city, then in this case, now in city, the problem is in city, we don't have NaN data. So what I'm going to do now here is like, now you see when I do drop dot NA, then in that case, it removes the complete, when I'm doing this, it removes the complete NaN values. It removes those rows where you have NaN. Now here, when I do subset, see the difference. And I mentioned that in subset, I'm passing this column, like here from my data, I want that this NaN is there and I want to do subset and I pass the column as amount. So here just I'll pass amount. Done. And let me run this. So what happens? So when I say subset amount, so all the rows with NaN is removed from here. But that's only which is in amount section. That particular row is removed. Now, if you see here, column number 6, you don't have any NaN value here. In amount column, keep that in mind that I am talking about a specific column. If in amount column, you don't have a NaN value, then in that case, that column, it will not be disturbed. So you have NaN row available because you don't have any NaN value in this column. So basically what we are doing using subset, we can remove the NaN value from a specific column, only from a specific column, not from every columns. So the column from, if you in column you pass that, okay, in this column I want to apply drop NA, then in that case, that particular column will remove, that particular column, complete row will be removed. If it's not in that column, then NaN value stays there. So subset is basically to apply on some particular column. Now the next one comes. See, all this what we are doing, when you practice on your own, you get an idea that what exactly is happening here. And this all basically, now you have to go through one by one. You have to remember that because in real time, when you come across, you have to clean your data this way, the way you are doing it. So I did drop inside is equals to true. So in this case, basically it's again moved back to its original data, whatever the data is, like we are not doing any changes here. Now here, one more thing what we can do is we can use thresh is equals to 1. Now what this means, sorry, what happened? I guess here it's threshold. So the short form for this will be, it will be thresh. I'm missing this S here. Now what happens when I say thresh is equals to 1? So it says if in any row you have at least one NaN value, if in every row, like at least you have one, you see this row number 6, you have one NaN value, that row will be removed from here. That means if you have at least one NaN value, that particular row you can remove straight away from here. So thresh is like straight away I'm setting the limit. Now the same thing if I change this to 2. Now here you see what happens. It says that if you have at least 2 NaN value, that particular row will remove from here. So here, when I'm setting thresh, basically thresh, it's what doing when I set the limit for thresh, it removes the NaN value. So it will like 1 or at least 2. So if you have any 2 NaN value, that particular row will just straight away will be removed from there. So indirectly what we are doing is we are setting these values by just passing the limits like, okay, this many limits. So at least this is all to remove the NaN values. Now it's good that you have removed all the NaN values. So it's good like you have removed the empty field. But when I'm removing the empty fields, one thing that you have noticed here is that these fields are affecting anyway the complete row. So because of one particular data, or just because of one data that's not filled, it's not good act to remove the complete row. But you have different options. In some cases, maybe it says like some requirement will be like, okay, I don't want any empty data set. So just straight away go and remove it. So there we can use DropNa. But along with DropNa, we have another feature called as FillNa. Now, what is that for? So FillNa is basically used to fill a particular field that's, you can say, a complete empty field. Basically, a NaN field, we can fill the NaN field. How? So this is all about DropNa. We have done that. Now I'm moving to FillNa. So in FillNa here, like if you see here in these fields, I say like I'm passing some value. Okay, or maybe I'll pass some value like here, these are the fields where that is empty. So I pass a number. So here I'm saying fill NA and I pass some value to those fields where it's added. So I'll say here I'll pass a value as not available. That's better. First, let me print the data. I guess I have a proper data. Oh, sorry, the data is modified. So that's why I was not doing changes in the current one, because now the data is modified. So it's like that seems like it's applied. The changes is applied to the current data. So here I'll remove this field and again I'll say data. Now I have again the same data are here. So let me reset this data so that I can use it again. Now that's the reason I am not modifying the current data, because if it get modified, it get difficult to use. So what I'm going to do is first I will reset the data. Now you know how to reset data. So data dot reset index is the method used to reset data, and I'll say in place is equals to true. Now if you don't know about this, then you can watch my last video. There I have talked about reset index, so you'll get an idea what exactly it is. Reset index, I guess the data is reset. I have tried this. Yeah, the data is reset. Oh no, it's not. It's 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and we have only 8 datas. So the last datas are not there. So we'll say insen is equals to data dot reset index. Insen is equals to true. So just by using this reset index, now you see I've got my old data. Like because last time I converted the data, I applied a method in the current data, so that was changed. Now I'm going to apply fill NA. So I'll say here data dot fill NA, and in this In every place of NA, you have to pass this value. Now you see, I'm passing the value as 300. Now, what are the fields here? The second field, the customer ID and amount, both is empty. It's NAN. So here you see in customer ID, the value 300 came, in amount, the value 300 came, in row number 12, the value 300 came. So basically, if you want to fill a particular data set, or basically an empty data set with a value, a random value, or with a random any value, like I passed a number. If you want, you can pass you can pass a string value, you can pass any value you want. So there we will use fill and a method. So fill and a is basically the method that helps you to fill the values of every field. So it's like the empty fields. So when you apply fill and a, straight away that field is filled. Now, again, the problem is that if I pass a random value, now it's good for the amount thing, but when it comes to customer ID, like when it comes to customer ID, and if I pass the value 300, that's of no use because customer ID is something in this format. So what about if I want to change a specific column? So for this, we will define this in form of dictionary. How? So I want to change the customer ID. So when the customer ID column comes, in that customer ID, this is my column. I want that in this customer ID, by default, a value pass that is this value. I'll say a random ID that's not of any of these is this. That's all. Now, again, if I want to change another column, like let me remove the spaces here. Again, I want to change this column amount, and wherever this amount column comes and you find NAN, in that column also do one thing. You pass the value as like 000. So now these fields will not be empty. It's like in these fields you're passing some values, and you keep in mind that in which column you have to do the changes. Now in this case, when you run the code, you see in the columns where you have NAN, there this CG 1000 passed, CG 1000 passed, and the rest column is as it is. There is no change in these columns. It's NAN everywhere. Only the place in amount, you see wherever it's empty, 000 comes. So now this is effective. What you are doing, you are changing a specific column with values. So this one is very important. Like when you are trying to pass, when you say that, okay, when you have an empty field, pass this default value. So just you take that particular column name, pass a default value, and that value will assign to that particular column. So this is how you can fill the fields that's empty by using fill NA. Cool. Now, the next thing, there is a simple way to fix the value saying f fill, and I say access is equals to 0. Now, if you talk about access is equals to 0, what I mean by access is equals to 0. So when I say access is equals to 0, that means I mean the row column. Now here I have used something called as ffill, and access is equals to 0. Sorry. Oh, just a second. Here, this ffill, we will pass straight away using method is equals to ffill. Now we'll come to that access 0 later. First, let's talk about this method ffill and bfill, what it means. So when I say method ffill, So what it shows. So when I say method ffill, you see that this field number 11, I guess. Yes. Field number 11 contains some value. What is that value? It's like the index by itself, or index. Basically, you have this index and row ID value. So these two values are there by default. But what changes you see here? So it's picking the values, like you see these values are matching. Now the coincidence is all the values have same from here. So what it's doing here is it's moving in forward direction. That means the column, you see this column, forward direction. That means when it comes in forward direction, so it takes this, sorry, this particular row, row number 10, this row value is passed to row number 11. Now, because this complete field is not empty, so as the indexes and this row ID, these two are auto field 11 and 12, so it stays as it is, but the rest value is changed. So in forward direction, what it does, it takes one row above it in forward above, it takes one row from there and it do the changes to the NA values. Just like here, you have one more NA value here, two NA values in row 2. So the value that is in row 1, that's passed to row 2. The value that's in row 1, that's passed to row 2. So basically, method ffill is used to move the values in forward direction. So the value that is in a particular row, that value is passed to the empty row. The NF sections are filled with the value that's present in a row above that particular, basically the value that's present in a row above that. That's what ffill does. Now the same thing if I replace with bfill. So when you talk about bfill, now here what's happening. Now again, this field is basically an empty field. Here, now you see everywhere in this, basically here, uh, it's passing the values from here. Okay, so it's passing the values from bottom. So forward means it will take the forward row, the row that comes first. Backward means it will take the value from the row that comes below that. So backward and ffill, bfill are two methods that helps to fill the values based on row and basically a row above than this and a row below than this. So if I say backward fill, then it will fill from the bottom. A row below that, it will fill the values from there. If I do forward fill, ffill, then it will fill from a field above than this. Now, this is the method that is bfill and ffill. So you have got all the options. Like if you want to pass a random value to all NaN, you can pass. If you want to pass a specific value to a specific column, you can pass that too. If you want to do that, okay, I just want to fill those empty fields, because if those fields are empty, that's intentionally. So just to clean up my data, just to make my data useful, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass a random value that's of no use. So just I pass forward, I'll take a random value from forward field or maybe from the backward field. That's how basically this fill NA and all is working. Cool. Now, one more thing I do. I'll do here is in place is equals to true. So here in place is okay. You don't have any field as 31. Sorry. So when I do data.fill NA, I pass a value 31 and I say in place is equals to true. And then I print the data. Now till now, I was not modifying the data. But in this case, the data is modified by itself. and every empty field is replaced by a value as 31. Every empty field is replaced by the value as 31 everywhere. So where NA and A is, everywhere the value is replaced by 31. So now the complete data set is also updated. So when you use this insane is equals to true, it updates the complete data sets too. So I hope this fill NA and drop NA is quite clear. Now these are some methods. There are many more, but these are commonly used methods. So I guess you have got an idea. Basically, we use to clean up these datas. Clean up in case like I want to just clean up the non-performing data set, or just I want to remove a row that's having NaN values. So just to apply these things, just to make the data more responsive and more effective, we do this. We use drop NA and fill NA. I hope the concept is clear. I guess you got an idea what exactly this tool is doing. That's all in this section. Now see you in another section with another topic. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the last section of this tutorial where we will talk about some theoretical topic like pivot table and meld functions in Panda. Now, this is something that's a bit advanced level. And also here, you have to go more with the logics, or basically more with the syntax. So before understanding these pivot tables or just going through this concept, you should know the syntax that you are using. So first we should understand what is pivot table. A pivot table is used to summarize the data. It reshapes the data by turning unique values for one column into multiple columns like a spreadsheet pivot tables in Excel. So what it says, it reshapes the data. The unique data, basically it makes as one value instead of making multiple columns. Why we use it? To quickly analyze, trend and group data in clean table format, especially helpful when working with lots of data. So it's like we can group it easily. We can make a clean data table format when you have a lot of data. So syntax, this is more important. If you know the syntax of pivot table, you can easily work with the table. So in this, you have to follow all these. You have to pass all these values. So first you have to pass the index, which column index you have. Again, you have to pass the column, whichever the column you are creating. Then the values of column, like whichever value. So it's like if we are creating three columns, the first one will go for index, second one will go as the column name, third one will go for the values. And we have to add a function like we are doing sum here, sum of the values. So we will add sum. So this is the syntax. When we'll do practically, you'll get an idea. Now, what is about the melt function? So melt function is basically used to transfer or unpivot a data frame. It turns wide data frame in long format. That means you have lot number of columns. Maybe you have 20 columns and you want to make it like one column, or you want to make it shorter and just make it shorter and long format. I mean, it's like in vertical way, you will have more data. So why we use it? We use it when we need to normalize data for analyzing or when preparing for plotting or machine learnings. This is used in case when we are doing more with the machine learnings. We use this melt functions. So melt functions, again, this format, what it is, first we have to pass the data. Then in ID, first we'll pass the column and then we'll pass the values based on the columns. So keeping these syntax in mind, we will write the code. So let's, as usual, get back to Jupyter, import pandas as PD. Now, when you'll see practically, you'll get better idea instead of going through that theory part. But that was required. At least you should know about the theory. So I have a data that I've already created. So I'll copy and paste it straight away here. Now, this is a data. This is my column one. Now I've again stored the values in form of dictionary. This is column two, column three. I have created three columns. Now, based on the syntax, what it says, call the pivot table method. So I will call using data dot what's the pivot underscore table. Now we'll call this method. Now, when you're calling this method, you have to keep in mind that you have to pass certain values based on the syntax. So what's the syntax? First one is for indexing. So in index, I'm passing the product value, the product key. So this will like A, B, C, this will go as my indexing. So the values, now you see here, it's repetition form. A, B, C, these are in repetition form. Now this will go for index and it will give me the common value out. Next thing, columns. So I'm going to name the columns here as, I will take this one, region, this one as column. Great one. Now to these columns, I have to pass the values. That's my third index. If you see here, index, column, then the values of the column. So the values of column, now these keywords will remain as it is. It will be values. Like if it's values, it will be values. Now values is equals to, I will pass the sales column. Great. And I'm passing a function that's also required. So what function I'm applying? I'm applying the function as sum. That means I'm doing sum of these sales. Basically, we are doing the function that we have applied here is sum. Now let's do data and let's see the table. Is it functioning the way I have structurized, or it's something different? So let's wait for the output. Now I got an error here. So if you can figure it out what the error is, this data I have not converted into data frame. That's the reason. So like this data I have not converted into data frame. That's why I've got this error. So I missed that line. So I'm going to write here pd.dataframe. I'll keep this as df. df is equals to pd.dataframe. And in this data frame, I'm going to pass the data. So now this will be converted into data frame format. Now, if you're not converting into data frame format, then this will not work. And here, where I'm using data, and now I'll use df. And I'll try to print df now. So now it's printing. Let's understand this table properly. So you'll get a better understanding of what exactly we are doing and how this is working. So now basically it's not converted into the pivot table. I'll tell you why. So I'll convert it into pivot table, but I'll tell you why it's not converted till now. So here I will store this value. I'll give a variable name as pivot, and then I will print pivot. So now you will get the exact table. Now last time I printed df, so that was data frame it was giving me. Now when I did pf, before this, if I do df and do this, so basically df is the one that will give you the data frames, like all as you saw, a b b c c, you got it out. Now when it's pivot, what we did, we mentioned the first one, product, as index. So this one took the indexes from here. So a b b c c, these were the common values. So what it does, it takes only one at a time. So that means out of these common values, it will take the unique one. So in products A, B, C, these three products are here. Now, what I did, I made columns of religion. So, region. I made the columns of region. So region columns are north and south. Again, the unique values it's taking. It's taking north and south. So we have only two columns, that is north and south. So now it's taking the values of north and south. For the first north and south value is 100 and 150. It's printing as that. For second north and south, that is B, you have another two values, 200 and 180. It's taking that. And again, when you have this north and south, the third value is 90 and 120. So basically what it's doing, pivot table, what it, like you see here, we have duplicate values. Now we decided that we will take this column as values. The sales as values, this column, this region we took as column. So we decided to take this as column. So what happens when we have duplicate columns? So just it's making it one. And from these duplicate columns, I'm taking the values which is required. So the value here was required, the sales values. So according to that, the cells values are passed here. So pivot table, according to the definition, what it's doing, as it's mentioned in definition, it's used to summarize data. It resets the data by turning unique values from one column into multiple columns. So it's basically converting the unique data from like here we have multiple columns with the unique multiple values. So it's making it as one column. That's what pivot table is doing. Now you see you have an index with products. So indexes are mentioned. The columns are also done, and we take the values, whichever values we pass. So this part of code is very important. Like when you are using pivot tables, you have to pass these values compulsory. Like if you don't pass these values, then the table will not be created. So you have to decide which column you are trying to do, summarize it, or which you are trying to make it sort. So that's how the pivot table works. This is mostly used in machine learning. So it's more of the machine learning part. Now we'll talk about the next one, that is the melt function. So in melt function, it says it transforms. It's used to transfer or unpivot a data frame. Unpivot a data frame means like whatever you're doing data frame, just opposite of that. It turns white data into a large format. So now for this, also I've created a list. I've created a dictionary value from beforehand. So I'll copy that and paste it here. Cool. Here I have product AB, so I'm not putting the duplicates because I said it's not work as pivot. So it's like, so we are not passing the duplicate values if I'm trying to keep it as a column. Now, according to the syntax, what it says, according to the syntax, it says, first you have to pass the data, whatever the data is. Then you have to mention ID variables. Now variables, we are creating the column names, values of those which we have to pass in columns. So two things we have to pass. First, the column names, that will be the variable name, and then the values in that column. So out of these three columns or these three values, what I've decided is out of these three columns, now first I'll define the variable here. Sorry. Melted is equals to. Now this melted is equals to, I'll write pd dot melt. Sorry, I said it should be, yeah, pd, basically the data that I'm melting, pd dot melt. And in this, I will pass the values. Now, first I have to pass df, that's data frame. Next, it says ID variables. So first one is for variables. And in this variables, I will first pass the one that is product. So I'll try to make this as my column, the first column. Now, I'm trying to pass the values. So this is going to be our column name, the values that you have passed AB. That will be your column names. Basically, this will be your first column. Now, the second one is we have to pass the values to these columns. So for values, you will write value underscore vars is equals to. Now, inside this, what you are going to pass? The values that you have in north and the values that you have in south. Just pass them as values here. Clear? Till here. Now, the last one is you have to give the variable name as well. Variable name. So basically, you have to give a variable name and again the values to that variable name. So this is for the first one. Like here, you see, you have created a column with products. So it will take AB. Again, the values will come for this column, for AVs, like this column. The first column will be the product column, and the values will be for the values which will pass. That will be from north and south. Two things. Now, I have to name the variable name as well. Again, I'll give var name is equals to. Now I'm giving the name as here as region. Let me write this and then I'll explain you. You'll get a better idea. Value name is equals to sales. So basically, I have given names to the column. I said this is a bit advanced part, but once you go through it, what happened? ID variables, it's ID vars, not variable. See, if you're not using the keywords, then you get errors. That's also one thing. Now let's understand this very slowly. Now here, what I did in the first one, ID vars, I said the first one I have kept as product. Cool. Now the values that will pass will be from north and south. In north and south, you have values 100 and 200, 150, 180. Good. Now for region, var underscore name region. So I've created another one column, and again the values where it will go. So var name basically for this one, for these products and south, for these column names are basically the values, the variable name, like these values north and south is going. See this one, var values and var name. Sorry, var values and var name. Basically here it means in this var name, that means the column name is region, that's the variable name. The values will go north and south. And the last one I have passed as sales. So in sales, whichever column names comes before that, or whichever the variable value variable comes, the value related to that will be assigned here. So here for value variables, like here, first one was for product, second one we gave the variable name as region, the third one we gave as sales. Three names we gave. Now in region, where the north value came, there the value that's assigned to this north, that will come here for sales. Again the value, again the next time, again in B, again it's like two north values, two south values. So first two north values comes, then two south values comes. So it goes in that sequence. Like first it will take all the values in north, then it will take all the values in south, and accordingly, like first you see that indexes was A and B. I've given only two indexes. So for first two values from north, it took the indexes A and B. Next, when it comes for the south, it's not creating a new index. Basically, it's not creating a new product. It's like it's taking the same product A and B. So this is how we create a table using melt. So here, the values that you're passing, that's very important. You have to keep in mind that these values are important, that you have to pass the values accordingly, and then it will be created in this way. So what we are doing is we are horizontally making it a bigger table. Like if vertically, you can say, sorry, instead of creating it horizontally, we are making it vertically, straightly. It's going like more indexes, like every time, instead of creating a new value, if you don't have a value for products, it will take the one that already assigned, or like the common one that's already available. So it will take that value. If you have a new one, it will give you the new index. If you don't have, it will take already the one that's there. It will keep repeating. So basically, this table will vertically increase, not horizontally. That's what melt help us to do. So that's how this melt and pivot works. This is mostly used in machine learning. So you'll get a better idea when you'll use in real-time projects. So for that, again, I'll be creating a separate video, so don't worry about it. So just you need to know about this table. So this was a part of Pandas, so I just explained you for your understanding purpose. So I hope you got this. That's all in this section. Now the next section is very important, because whatever we have learned till now, we'll be applying in the next section. That is, we'll do a real-time project. So don't forget to watch that. That's very important, very useful. You should go through that. That's very important section that will give you the real explorer. Whatever you have learned till theory till now, you'll get a better idea and better explanation in that section. So just watch that one too. And there also, in that project, in real-time project, I've implemented the graphs too. So you'll get an idea of graphs. So whatever I have said in this tutorial, I've covered all the topics. I hope you enjoyed all of this, and do the project sections. Then we'll see there. That's all in this section. Thank you. Bye. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the final section of this tutorial. That is, we'll try one real-time e-commerce project. Now, because you have gone through this much of topics, you have learned a lot of things here. So now it's time to apply them all together here. Now, also, I said in the beginning of my video, I said like when I'll be doing a real-time project, there I'll be using the graphs too. So it's the best place to use it. So basically, I'm taking an e-commerce project where I will analyze the reports of these three things. First, calculate monthly sales, calculate highest and lowest sales based on month, calculate highest and lowest sales based on product categories, calculate monthly profit of sales and determine the profit monthly, analyze sales profit by customer segments, and analyze the sales to profit ratio. So basically, we are going to analyze a report. Now, what we have right now is, this is my Excel sheet. And in this Excel sheet, this is a Superstore Excel sheet. Now, if you see the fields here, order ID, SIP ID, customer name, segments, country, states, postal code, everything. Like at last you have sales, quantity, discount, and profit. So now out of these data, these many data, and if you'll see how much of data this is, so it's like just if I bring it to the last, so altogether you have 9,995 data. So it's like you have somewhere around 9,000 or 10,000 data, and out of these 10,000 data report, this is an Excel sheet, 10,000 data are mentioned here. And out of these 10,000 data, what I have to do is I have to take this, calculate the monthly sales, highest and lowest sales based on month, highest and lowest sales based on products. We have to do all of this. I just will go through this first Excel sheet. Now, in this project session, how I'll keep things is mostly I'll be typing and I'll expect you to think for a minute and then we'll go for output. So it's like I'll go slow and steady, but I'll make things more interactive as much as possible. So at least you can think what you're doing. So straight away, first I will add, sorry, let me remove this launcher from here. And let me add that sample data from here. Where is that sample data? Sample Superstore data. Cool. I've added this sample Superstore data that is in CSV file. So this is added here. Let me rename it as sample store. That will be easy for me. Store sample. Give a proper name. Just go through this complete thing slowly and steady. Like you'll feel like whatever you have learned, everything is coming out and you'll get an idea. So the first thing here is I'll do import and I'll write import pandas as PD. That is the first thing. Now after this, what will be the next line? So the next line will be, once we have import pandas, this is like we used to do the very first thing. Now here we need to import the plotty libraries too that will help us to create the graphs. But those plotty I'll talk about later and I'll import them later. Like I've import panda. Let me do this. In next line, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the CSV file. So I'll write data is equals to pd.read CSV. And in this CSV, I'll pass store sample.csv. That's one thing. So I'll pass this. Apart from this, I'll pass encoding. Now this we have not done before, so we are doing it for the first time because you have large number of data. So I'm doing this. Encoding is equals to Latin -1. Now you'd be thinking, what is this encoding Latin -1? So I'll tell you what is this for. So right now I'll just do data.head. Now why I'm using data.head is because I have 9,000 of data. If I print 9,000 of data, whole of my screen will just fill with that. So instead of printing all data, I'm using print.head because I have to just go through the columns and I'm just picking the first few fields. So when I do data.head and run this, so basically it will give me the first 5 data from this complete column. Now, first thing, why we use this encoded is equals to Latin 1. So it's like when you have some unwanted spaces like this dash sign, the underscore sign, So it's like basically different expressions. Just to avoid this, we are using this encoding is equals to Latin. So when I'll take this value, these spaces, these things will be avoided. So that's why we write encoding is equals to Latin dash 1. So basically these type of spaces, these will be not, basically you can ignore these things when you are writing your code, or basically when you're fetching the data. That's why we use Latin. Now, what's my test case here? It's like calculate monthly cell. Now, this is my monthly cell section. This is my cell section. So here, basically, through this cells, from this field, I will get the data of how much cell. But it's saying monthly cell. So for monthly cell, you need to go through data month-wise, is it? What I mean by month-wise is, so for to get the data monthly, you need to go month-wise, means you need to have the data of basically what type of data. You need to have the order date, the ship date. So based on this order date and ship date, like based on this order date and the shipping date, I'll be able to get the monthly record, like the months. I'll be easily able to figure it out that, okay, I'm getting the date for this particular month, for this particular month, I'm getting the data. So what things are required from this column? See, when we are working on this data analysis, the most important thing is we need to know that in basically which columns are required or which columns we have to use for this. We have to know it very clearly. So like here, once I get the order date and the ship date, so out of this, I can easily track, or I can easily break the month, the dates, the month, and year columns. All three we can break it, and we can put it separately, and accordingly, like all the data that's basically with the month as 8. The 8th month data, we'll have it at one place. We can group all the data at one place. Just I'm doing an overview. It's like I'm not writing. We'll be doing this, but I'm giving you an idea that how you will be thinking when you come across a real-time project, how basically you will think about it, how you will proceed to the project. The main doubt for everyone is like, okay, they know that, okay, we need to write codes, we need to do this. But when the requirement comes, they get confused that how to proceed, how to go through these steps, how to write, how to think basically that what we have to do. So as it was clear to me just by reading the data that we have to calculate monthly cells. I have to just calculate my monthly cell. That means the cells, that monthly cell, whatever my month cell is, I have to calculate that. So to calculate monthly cells, what is required? First, we need a sales column. That's good. Now, when it's talking about month, so which month the order was done, which date the order was done, which year the order was done. So from that 2016, we will first break this, the order and ship dates. Based on this, we will break the dates, the months, and the year sections. So when I break this, based on these different columns, I will get the values of my sales. You got it? This is how it's working. So we'll proceed accordingly. This is how we'll plan things. So for right now, what I said, for this monthly cells, I need first the sales column. Then I need this order date, ship date. From this, I will break it to month columns, and then I'll proceed accordingly. So let's start in this way. So the first thing what we'll be doing here is, now, first let's get the record of how much columns are basically, how many rows are there. So it's for that you can take the info. First, let's take the info, or like we'll take the info. It's like we need to understand that all these columns, whichever are like these columns are defined. What are the objects, or basically, if you talk about these columns, um, what are the data types of this column? So what I'm going to do here is, I'll write data dot info. So when I do data.info, so it says row ID is in type, order ID is in type, order date is an object type. How can be order date object type? Because if I'm using object type, I can't track the datas. So order date, ship date, this should be in proper format. It should be in date format. That's what I said. It's very necessary that we go through the data types. So from there, we get an idea that in which format the data are. So when I went through the objects, when I went through the info, then I got to know that data type has these data types are object. So the very first thing that I will do is I will change the data type of these two sections. That's the very first thing I'll be doing. So how? Now you remember in our first, or I remember in the third lecture, I was talking about data frames, and there I told you how to convert the date time. So just think about it. There is a method that you can convert that can convert the data type. So we'll apply that here. So I say data. What's the name of my column? Order date. I take that, pass down here, order date. Meanwhile, I'm writing this. You can just think in your mind that what we are applying. If you are following my videos, then I guess this will not be that difficult for you because there is a method that's called to underscore date time. To underscore. There I did errors and then I showed you that why I'm getting errors and what's exactly required. So this is the one thing that's required here is that is I have to change the object of this. So I'm changing the object of this. So date. Now this object of date time will change into basically the object that is in form of object that will change into date time. I'm doing this for order date and the same thing I'll do for the next one that is ship date. So these two is required and these two is changed here. Cool. These two. Now this will convert our date format. Let's do enter. And again write data.info. Now when I write data.info, see the data type is changed. So that's why if you have not watched my old videos, you can go and watch it there. You see what exactly we are doing in that section. Or basically in the it's the third lecture, I guess, where we're talking about data frames. There I've applied this. So I told you like everything will be what we have already studied. Just we are doing it at bigger level, and you'll find things so easy. It's not that difficult like it looks. Like data analysis is just like it's a thought that it's too much things to do, too much things to learn. No, it's just basics, you can easily apply on it. That's all about it. Okay, now the date is converted. Now what I have to do? As I said, I have to add new date based column. So out of these columns which I have, I'm going to add 3 more columns. What for? So out of this date, order date and ship date, through this, basically from order date, I will take out the which day the date order was done. Basically, you will get the sales from there itself. So from order date, I will break the date format into 3 forms, that is month, year, and week. So in 3 formats, I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new column. So to create a new column, I'll name it as order month. Great. This I'm creating a new column. So I've given the name as date and order month. You see there is no column name as order month. So I've given the name as order month. And in this order month, what I'm doing, already my order date is converted into date format. So I do data, whatever the data is, data. And here I say order, what's the name? Order date. That's the name. Great. So pass this order date here. Good one. Now what's next? Once the order date is passed, then out of this order date, what I'm trying to track, I'm trying to track the month. So just write dt dot month. So when you write dt dot month, basically this will give you the month value. So from this value, from this data, it will pick in order date. From this, it will pick only the month value. Similarly, if you want to track what happened. No, I have to come here, gets back here. Okay. Similarly, you want to track data. Now I'm creating one column for year. I need to have the year too, in which year basically the data is converted. Data, sorry, it should be order date. So data from order date. Now I'll try to fetch the data based on year. So now this is for year. This will give us year. Now again, sorry, again I will do. Now I'll create one more column and name that column as order by week. Cool. And here I'll say data, the order date is basically the column. And from here I'll say dt dot day of week. Okay. Day of week. So a day of week, now I'm doing this. So now 3 different columns are created. One will take month out, one will take year out, and one will take the week out. These 3 values, you will have it. Now just let me run this, sorry. And just to check that is these 3 columns created. So I'll do one thing, df.head, and what happened? Sorry, it's data.head. I have habit of writing df, so I'm writing it df every time. It's df data.head. Now, if you see, the columns are added because before when I was tracking the data here, you see the columns, a size was like 5 into 21 columns. Now the size is 5 into 24 columns. That means 3 more columns are added. Let me see that. Great. Order month, order year, order by week. These 3 are here. Now, what's the beauty here? Order month, it gives all the months here. So out of this, if out of these datas, from this data, like the order date 2016 11/08. So here from here, it takes the month out, year out, and week. It's the first week data. So from the first week, because basically it comes inside the first week. So it's like taking the first week data. So based on weeks, it's taking the week data 2 out. Okay. And what I've used here is, yeah, cool. Now again, if you check the info, data.info, when you check this, so here basically right now here, these details, it shows the detail columns here. Now I've added 3 because that's not updated. So it's not showing that 3 columns, but you have those columns there. So now these columns are here. Once we have this, now straight away we can do one thing is we can proceed getting the month analysis. So what I said, what my requirements are. So first is calculate monthly sales, calculate highest and lowest sales based on month, and then calculate highest and lowest sales based on product details. So first I'm doing monthly sales. So for monthly sales, now what I need. So just by seeing this table, I guess where it is, just by seeing this table, it's quite clear for monthly sale. Now the most important column for you is this one, order month, because this will give you the monthly sale. So the most important column for you here is order month. Now from order month, I will focus on sales. That in order month, what is the sales? And then I'll try to do sum of all the cells. So let's do this. Let's group this. So here we need to work with two columns. One is cells and other one is order month. Now, when you are trying to work with two different columns together, then in that case, we use GroupBy. I guess you know about it. When you are working with two columns together, we use GroupBy. Now, how I'll use the GroupBy here, we'll see that too. So I'll write here, I'll define a new variable as sales by month. And here I say is equals to data dot group by, and which two columns we want to group: order, month, that's one, and the next one as sales. So we'll mention it as sales. I guess it's quite clear. What I'm going to do is dot sum. I'm going to do the sum of these two, and I'll do reset index because I have to print these two tables, order and sales. I'll do the sum of cells. Basically, I'm printing this, grouping these two. Now I'll do reset underscore index. Great. And I say sales by month. What happened here? Order month. What it says? Now let me check the name. Is it the same name? Order month. Yeah, I guess it's the same one. Okay, let me check for a minute. Now everything is good here. Just I did date.info, so that was something that was not required, but still I removed that. Now I've run everything again, like I have everything. We have this, we have all the columns, everything here. Now what I'm doing here is basically I said we are looking for the sales per month. So we are trying to group order month and sales together. We are trying to do the sum of that, and we are giving the index. So you see the index are by default provided 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 11, 12. So that means it's for 12 month. The first month order, and it gives, this is the sales of the first month. This is the sales of first month. This is the sales of second month. This is the sales of third month. And altogether we have sales of 15 months, basically 12 months. That's a year sales month. Now, what we did here, we grouped order month column with sales, and we did sum of that. So all the order, basically the common months brought here, like all, like here from this data, what exactly is happening is all from this particular data, all the values with the month 8. So it tracks all the 8-month values. It takes the cells of every 8-month values. It does the sum of it, and it prints me here. That's what is printed. And that's how it looks like, basically. So here, the month, basically the order month and cells, we have got the sum of this. But if I ask you that track, or just tell me that which month has the highest cell, which month has the lowest cell, can you tell me from here easily? Now for that, you have to go and read the value one by one, that, oh, this one is the maximum. Now you can get the maximum value. Obviously, you can get from here the max value. You can get the max value. It gives this max value. Order month is 12th month. You have got the maximum value. So it's like in this month. But if I want to keep a record of what I want to keep record, like which month my cell is high, which month my cell is low, just like if I want to keep the track of this thing. So when I get this value, sales month, So though when I go through deeply, when I read it deeply, then I'll be able to figure it out that, okay, this month I have highest sell, this month I have lowest sell. I can figure it out. But if I'm using Panda, let's make our task more easier and more simpler. Now, how you can do that? It's very easy. Now here comes the plotting and the graph thing. So now here we'll be using the plot and the graph thing. So what we are going to do is we are going to import, basically we will import a library that's called as plotly dot. Inside plotly you have one as express. Now you'll say that you have not talked about plotly in any of your tutorial. So it's like this is just a library and you need to know that which library to use and what, just like Panda was a library and we just know that, okay, so here we are using library. Based on that library, basically now no module plotly. Now this is the problem when you add and this thing randomly. So instead of that, I'll create a new file and here itself I'll try to add. But the thing is that usually you'll have problems with this when you are working with this in Jupyter. Like Plotly is not that available. I've experienced this before too. So in this case, I would say like if it's not working or if it's not going properly, then in this case, I would say that you can move to your PyCharm there. You can install this Plotly straight away and then use it there. Right now, I guess it's not giving any error. So we can use it. So I'll use Plotly. Now that was for now yeah, again it's giving error. So now here sometimes in Jupyter you'll have problems. So I would say why don't you go for PyCharm? If you are using, basically you have a platform as PyCharm where you are using your where you're writing the Python projects. So instead of using Jupyter now, I would like to use here a PyCharm. So I've already opened my PyCharm here and this is my PyCharm. And here I'm going to create a project. Cool. Now here I'm going to create a new project, which I can name it as practice e-commerce project. New window. Now, before in Jupyter, this was available or you used to, but in some cases you'll have problem. So it's better to avoid all these problems. We will use PyCharm. Now, if you're doing, or you can use any of your IDE that you're using. I'm using PyCharm. If you're using any, if you're using some other, you can apply on, you can do on that platform. Here, basically, it becomes easy. And if you have gone through my Python videos, there I have shown how to install the PyCharms and Python. So you can straight away have it from there too. Now, what I have to do is like I have to configure the projects. Like first thing is I have to add that CSV file here, the sample project CSV file that we added in that case. So I'll copy that CSV file and paste it here straight away. I'll name it as e-commerce or store sample. Cool. Now this is the file that we have. Now I'll put all the codes here one by one, so don't worry. So here it's very simple. I'll just go right click and create a new Python file and name this file as sales.py. Cool. Now as usual, I'll import. Now the best thing here is why I go for this PyCharm is like when I write something, I get things in hint. Like Panda, it's something that I'm using. Straight away it gives install package Panda. It's installing Panda in my system. So basically it's taking some time. It will install Panda. So just let's wait for a few seconds. So if you have not followed these steps or if you have not seen, so basically I'm using the PyCharm now here. I just went to this PyCharm. I created a new project, and in this new project, I named the project. After naming the project, I added this sample store.csv file to my project so that I can use it. Once that's done, I created a file, a Python file with name sales.py. And here I write import Panda as PD. So basically the Panda is imported. Now I want to import what I was talking about is import Plotly. That was not available there in Jupyter. So I can open the Jupyter place. So here plotly.express. So first I'm doing plotly.express as px. I'm giving a name. Now here I have to install this package. So here you see it allows you to install this package Plotly2. So now you have installed Plotly, you have installed Pandas. Now you are installing Plotly. So basically we are installing, now we will import first whatever is required for this Plotly. First we'll import that and then we'll start using it. So first one is Express. So basically this is for uh, the first one Plotly.express. This is for data visualization library. Basically this is for data visualization library. Like we can visualize data easily. It's that for. So I'm just writing in comments here the description. So the first one is for data visualization. Now wait for this Plotly to install. It will take some time and it will install straight away. So you will have many more options, like you'll be doing graph objects. So just to show the graphical description, customized graph, just like to show the customized graph. Again, you will have plotly.io, that's input output, that will show the templates. So if you want to change the templates, you'll be using IO. If you want to add colors, then in that case, you'll be using colors. In Plotly, it provides. Again, if you want a default template, that is a white Plotly template, so it will provide you that also. So you have to mention all this in import line. So first one is for this. Second one is Graphly objects as. So here I'll say second one here is for graph objects. This is for graphical expression, graph objects. Now you see once the library is installed, you get the options in hints too. That's the best thing about PyCharm. First, I thought like I should write everything in PyCharm, but again in Jupyter, it was good. Like the same things were printed over there. So it was making things easier. This is for graphical visual. Now next one is again I do import plotly dot. Now what I'm going to import this time for is IO. Import.io or import.io. Now this one is as I'll import it as plotly this. Okay. Now this I've given a name. Okay. The next thing here is this is a graphical. This is for graph template. Graph templates. Cool. Now the next one is colors. So I say import. I have to import all of them one by one. Like you can't skip anything. So to use them personally, you have to import, like you have to import specific one. So this one is for colors. So as plotly as colors. Okay, this will give you the colors. Now, using this py, I'll put a default content template. That will be a template dot default, and that will be, I'll keep a default template as plotly white. So the graphical representation will be in, the graph will be in white format. Cool. Now, this is done. Now, instead of writing the steps again and again, what I can do is I can copy the steps from here itself and put it. So you will get an idea that, okay, whatever we have done before, it's fine. It's nothing different. So here, now store sample. Here, the store is in smaller. Cool. This is for head. Now, again, if you want for info, Now this was basically I wanted this description. The next one, this is important. So I'll pick this and paste it here where I'm trying to convert. Here I'm trying to convert the data type of date. Now once this converted, then what we'll do grouping. So what we are doing is we are trying to group the data of, okay, first we'll break the date in month, year, and week format in these three format. So for that also I've written the code before, so I'm not going to write it again. Instead, I'll copy it from here straight away and paste it here. Cool. Now this is for this. Now after this, again, we are doing the grouping the data. So grouping the data and sales to find the month sale. So it will be like group data for month sales. So for that, I'm doing this. Now straight away, this is not Jupyter. So to print something, you have to write this way. Inside the print statement, you have to pass this. Now, just to run this, I do run. Let me see everything is working fine. So I want that table where I have grouped by order and sales. In fact, that's I'm having. Now what? So from here, I'm trying to create a graphical representation. So for graphical representation, what you will be doing? So for graphical representation, you have to do a small thing, that is just remove this print line for the timing. Define a variable as figure is equals to, take px. What's that for? Data visualization. Px is the name that I've given for data visualization. So I'll say px dot, and I'll call the method as line. Now I want to print it in form of line. So when you print the data as in form of line, so one will be sales by month. Basically, I'm going to print this sales by month, and the orders we have to define. What will be my X order? So X order will always be my order month. Basically, in X-axis, we will have the order month. X-axis, that means the bottom one, the straight line, and the vertical one. So basically, that will be Y-axis, and for that, the value will be sales. Cool. Now, if you want to give a title to this, you can give the title too. Okay, you have to give comma here as well. Cool. Now you can give a title to this graphical representation. So the title will be like monthly sales analysis. Cool. This is what we have to write. So first, I want the graphical representation in form of line. And what's sales for month? Basically, this is the one that has the complete data, which is grouped by and which is sum. So everything. Now I want to represent this x-axis as for of order of month and y-axis as sales, and title of this I'm giving this. So this is the description that I'm providing to design a graph. Now, once this is done, I need to just do fig.show. Done. Now, after this, you have to just run your code. The code will run, and I'll show you. You see a new graph is created here. This is monthly sales analysis, the title. This is y-axis, my sales, and this is the order month. Now just look into it, how beautiful it looks. Now straight away, like I can say in the first month, the monthly sales was 1000K, 100K. Next month it was lesser, it declined. Again, the next month it increased. Again, the next month it declined. Again, it remained stable. Again, it increased. So highest it was on 11th month, that was 352.4611K, the sales was. So basically, this graph tells you a complete description of your monthly sales. So you get a monthly sales analysis and you see how easy it is for you. It's very simple. Just what you have to do is you know what to group, what not to group. And see, when you see this graph, it looks so beautiful. It makes your job so easy. So that's what we are working for. So we wanted this report. That's what we got. And this is how it looks like. So I hope this section is quite clear. You have understood this. Now we'll go with the second one. Like I said, we have different sections to do. Now the next one was for, what was my next test case? Calculate highest and lowest sales based on month. Now this one you can try, I guess. You can create the highest cells and lowest cells. Like if you see in this report itself, in the chart report itself, you got the highest and lowest cells based on month. So these two is covered. Now highest and lowest cells based on product category. Now I'm doing one more for you. And then you can try the less test cases on your own, or else like if I'll see if it's required, I'll do. Now what I'll do is here, the next one is calculate highest and lowest cells based on product category. Now, based on product categories, we have to calculate the highest and lowest cell. Now, let's get back to our table. So I do data, again, I have to write print because I'm not using Jupyter anymore, data dot head. And I'll tell you how easy it is. Now, because you have done one, you'll find all easy. Now, when I do print head, sorry, it's executing again and again. So right now, when I do head, and it says right now, what it's saying is, it's saying that I want to print the analysis report based on highest and lowest cells based on product category. Based on the product category, you want the highest and lowest cells. So now in my table, I have one column as, now that's not visible here, but you'll see in the Jupyter. In this table, you have one column as categories. You see? Now, based on the categories, I have to mention which category, which product sold most and which one sold less. So I have to analyze the sales report based on categories too. Now, just like we did for the date, just by grouping the order month, now I guess it's clear. If you think in your mind, you'll get an idea that here we have to group two columns. One will be category and other one will be sales. So I'll create a new one, sales by category. You see, so simple it is. Just I'm doing this to show you how simple it is. Data dot group by. Again, here, past order, sorry, category is one of the column. And as usual, it will be sales. Again, do sum of it. Once this is done, to reset index. So based on the categories, it will itself figure it out. Like the common cells, which will be the common categories, it will calculate the cells of all of those. It will do sum of all of them. And just straight away, you will have the informations. Now, again, when you're creating this, copy the same thing. See, so simple it is. So easy it is. Like once you have got an idea of one, how easy it becomes for you. Now here I change the name by sales by category. Now in X order, I'll keep the categories. I'll keep the categories, and in Y order, I'll keep the sales. So here I keep the categories. Title, you can keep it as, if you want titles, you can put the titles as Category analysis. The same thing I have done, and I have done the same way. Now for the timing, I will comment this because every time it's going to, sorry, I'll just comment it. So let's comment these lines. I'll comment all of these lines. For the timing, I'm just doing this for the timing because I don't want to show this report again and again. And the print value, these two. Save. Now let's run this code for. So let me share with you the screen for this. So in categories, if you go closely, like when I was seeing this data, I didn't figure it out that in categories you have only three values: furnitures, office supplies, and technologies. Now out of this 9,000 datas, if you go through this like 9,000 datas, you'll feel like it's just a comedy that out of this much of datas, you have only three categories. So that's strange. That's something neither you are expecting nor me, that only these three categories will be there. But that's real. It's only three categories. And let me check this through the Excel sheet, I guess. So in the Excel sheet, let's check the category section. Furniture, office supply, technologies, furniture, office supply, technologies, furniture, office supply, technologies, furniture, office supplies, technologies. So in this 9,000 data, you have only these three categories only. So you see, when you looked into the data, it looked a very big thing. But now you see you have only three categories: furniture, office supplies, and technologies. And accordingly, it's saying what's the cells of this. So this is the cell 741K for furnitures, for office 720K, and for technologies, it's highest 836K. So just you got a category analysis using this same thing, using the same thing. Now from here, you can figure it out how easy and simple it is to basically figure it out, or how easy it is to analyze the complete report for a category section. So I guess we have done the next one too. Now the third one will be challenge for you. Calculate monthly profit of sales and determine profit monthly. Now this one you can try on your own. I'll do the last one, analyze the sales to profit ratio. So now I'll analyze based on the profit ratio. So the rest you can do. It's like everything, it's fine. Maybe if you try, you can do. You just think, but I'm doing the last one. That's for profit ratio. So profit ratio, now you have to again get back to the Excel sheet and just you have to figure it out how you can get the profit ratio. So for profit ratio, you need few things. Like first, you need from this Excel sheet, you need, let's check from this Excel sheet what you need. So you need this segment, like how much is used by the consumers, you see home office. So basically we'll get an idea from there that how basically the profit ratios we can calculate using these segments. Basically based on the segments, we'll get calculated. Again, we'll get the sales. Sales is always required. We'll do the sum of sales. Now after that, we need to do the sum of profits too. So for this, you have to do the sum of profits as well. Like right now, we have not calculated profit for any section. So we have to calculate the profit for the sections too. Now, if you calculate profit for the monthly segments, so now here you have one more section called as, I guess, and this column that is profit. So you have this segment too. You have a segment as profit. So you need to do the sum of sales and the sum of profits. So when you do these two things together, you will get an idea. You will get an idea of sales profit. So it's very simple. So here I'm going to do one thing is sales by basically a profit segment. Sales profit segment. That's what we are going to calculate. So again, I do data dot group by, and what I'm trying to group here is first I'm trying to group the segment. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to aggregate, use aggregation, where now here I'm applying multiple columns. So first one sales, I need to do the sum of that. So I'll mention this way. Aggregation, basically, this is how we mention here. So that is for sum. Now the next one, column is profit. Sorry, what's wrong? Oh, I have to define in form of dictionary. So keep this way. Now the next one is profit. And in profit, the value will be like we will do the sum of profit. Okay. So here, first we are grouping by the segment based on sales. That is we are doing the sum of sales. We are doing the sum of profits. And then we reset index. Okay, as usual. Now just you print sales profit segment. You'll get an idea what exactly we are doing here. Okay, fine. I don't need this anymore. Now you see, it says segment sales, consumer sales is this much, profit is this much, corporate sales is this much, and the profit is this much, and home office sale is this much, and the profit is this much. So because it's three value, you can easily figure it out that consumer has the highest profit. But if you want to represent this on graph, you can do on your own like we have already done before. You can get a proper idea of that too. So basically what we are doing is we are trying to calculate the profit ratio. It's like I said, like we have to say what we are doing, analyze sales to profit ratio. So sales to profit ratio, basically the whatever the profit is, we'll print that. And basically that's the profit in every sections. Now, if you want to print this based on sales to ratio, what we are doing here is, remember, this is something new. That's why I'm doing this sales to profit ratio. So sales to profit ratio means out of my sales and out of my profit, I'm just trying to calculate the ratio of this. So how will I do that now? So now I have got sales profit by segment. Now to this itself, to this sales profit by segment here itself, I'm going to say sales to profit ratio. So how I'll calculate the sales to profit ratio? Very simple. For this, we have sales profit segment. This one, we have it from before. Sales profit segment. And from this sales profit segment, I will take the sales column and divide it by profit column. So from sales profit segment, I'll define the profit column, I guess. So what I'm doing is profit P will be in caps. So here to get the ratio, I'm taking the sales column, this one, and I'm taking the profit column, that is this one. These two columns, I just divide this. And when we divide this and we try to print the sales ratio. So while printing, what I will do is in this, I will print two columns basically. One will be for segment and the other one will be for sales to profit ratio. Now just save this and let's get back to our code. So segment, consumer, corporate, this is the ratio 8.6, 7.6, 7.6. So by this, I get an idea that the sales is highest for the consumer. So this is how we calculate the sales profit ratio. Now code is very simple, very easy if you have gone through my last videos. If you have skipped any of my last videos, then you may find it a bit difficult. But if you have gone through all of this, then you'll find this project very simple and easy, and you'll get a better idea of how it's looking like. So why I added this project at the last of this tutorial is at least to give you that confidence that see how easy it is if you know everything, if you know these methods, if you know the commonly used steps. So how easy it becomes and how simple it is. It's not that difficult for data analysis. The only thing is you need to know the topics, that's all. So this is our project that for your understanding purpose, this is a real-time thing that I'm doing. Usually in the real-time projects, you'll be doing the same thing. I'll create a separate project in future where just we will do only data analysis, no theory, no description, no explanation, so that if anyone watched that video, if someone who has done this, so they will have a fresh one for the projects too. So I'll do that separately too. Cool. So by this, we come to the end of our tutorial series. I hope the last video was very long. Uh, uh, like this is the last, basically it's very long, but still it's helpful. If you will do in one shot, you will enjoy. If you start to get involving to this, you will enjoy doing it. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial series. Now I'll bring more things related to pandas in future. Just stay tuned and keep subscribing to channel. See you later. Bye bye. Thank you for watching my videos.